Hello, welcome to Outside Xbox, and to this video brought to you by Outside Xbox and sponsor ELEX 2. ELEX 2 rejoins the action on the planet of Magalan as society attempts to rebuild itself following the dramatic comet strike from the first game. And we've played enough post-apocalyptic video games to know that you're not really supposed to be having a good time after the end of the world. Instead, you should expect a hostile environment, rampaging mutants, and an evening meal of rat on a stick washed down with toilet water. So, like my last big night out, only without a night bus to get at the end of it. Having played a bunch of ELEX 2 though, and extensively explored its massive open world, we've come to the conclusion that if a planet-threatening apocalypse is coming, this specifically is the sort of one we want, please. Oh, you want to know why? So you should. Here are the 7 ways ELEX 2 is our kind of apocalypse.
I'll get you!
A bit like moving to a college campus, a world-upending apocalypse is the perfect chance for you to start afresh and really reboot your entire deal. And unlike campus, where you're limited to a new haircut and trying to convince everyone that your nickname is Cool Mike, after society has completely collapsed, the only limit is your imagination. And your cosplay skills. In ELEX 2's Apocalypse, you don't even have to decide between regressing to a medieval chivalric code, swinging a sword and living in a castle, or turning into a laser-powered future soldier hooked on space drugs, because both of these exist in ELEX 2's world, and they're sort of just rubbing shoulders with each other. Over the course of the game, you'll encounter various factions who you'll want to play off against each other, and each of which is handling the end times in their own unique way. There's the fanatical pious cleric faction, who are expert roboticists, the emotionless ELEX addicts known as the Albs,
Surly troublemakers, the outlaws.
And yes, if you want to dust off the spiked codpiece that's at the back of your wardrobe, you can run around living out all those Mad Max fetish wear fantasies by running with the Morcon faction. Just don't trip up. You could have your eye out on those things. Finally, there's our favourites, the Berserkers, who, in spite of the name, are probably the most balanced and reasonable of the lot.
Didn't you say we should take better care of Caracas?
Yeah, but, you know what? I owe Thialga a favor anyway. My work here can wait. Time to lend the old guy a hand.
Yeah, he seems reasonable now, but wait until the delivery guy forgets the additional garlic and herb dips he ordered. Absolutely ape shit. Usually when the apocalypse swings around, personal mobility takes a real hit. The cars are all rusted to bits, fuel is scarce, and the train delays are really out of hand. That is to say, infinite. Not a problem for ELEX 2's hero Jax, who, may I say, is the possessor of great eyebrow game. Not like this guy Adam.
Yes, you were bitten by one of those creatures.
Clearly overplucking. Early on in the game, Adam offers Jax what we reckon is the answer to all of our problems, a butt-mounted jetpack.
You know, you'd get around a lot faster with a jetpack.
I've been saying this for years. Arguably the biggest addition to gameplay in ELEX 2 over the original, eventually you can turn yourself into a full-blown Iron Man. To start with though, the jetpack only offers small bursts of vertical boost, but this is more than enough to help you scale cliff faces or, in our case, narrowly avoid landing in a smashed-up heap when you fall off them. It is literally the only reason my kneecaps remain inside my body. It's also so conveniently mounted. Rather than taking up all that valuable real estate on your back like a regular jetpack, it sits on your hips, like a sort of rocket-powered fanny pack. A jet fanny pack, if you will.
I won't.
Okay. It's also worth pointing out that in the earlier part of the game, when you're an ill-equipped scrub, the world of ELEX 2 is pretty dangerous, intentionally so that you feel more powerful when you eventually level up.
Watch out!
As a result, you'll constantly be coming up against dangerous enemies far above your own level that need to be avoided rather than confronted. And let me tell you friends, there's no better way to get out of an awkward situation than to shoot upwards on a jet of flame coming directly from your posterior. Man, imagine having that option when a first date's going badly. Certainly beats climbing out of the window in the men's bathroom.
With everything that's been happening, it's easy to forget how beautiful it is here.
Having already experienced the sort of end of the world where you have to stay indoors and clear your Netflix backlog, we're good and ready for the sort where you have to go outside and enjoy the beauty of nature. ELEX 2's global disaster is exactly that sort of apocalypse. If you're not familiar with the series, ELEX 2 is set in the same place as the first game, on a planet called Magalan. Not to be confused with the British affordable clothing store Matalan or famous party holiday resort Magaluf. Very few phone parties going on here. Or if there are, we haven't been invited. The world is roughly the same size as it was in the previous game, but it has gone through a few changes since the first ELEX. There's more stuff to do in it, of course, but the first thing you notice as a returning player is that huge areas in the middle that were previously barren desert are now lush and verdant, having been reclaimed by nature.
I remember the fort from back in the day.
Sure, one look at all this green shit everywhere and you'll realize how much things have changed.
So unlike in lots of video game apocalypses, you won't be slogging around some blasted radioactive wasteland, stopping only to kick a giant cockroach to death. Instead, you'll mostly be gambling through the sort of picture postcard countryside usually reserved for a Winnie the Pooh picture book. Nothing makes my tumbly more rumbly than beating bandits to death with a rusty pipe. Speaking of...
What's in the soup?
Oh, veg, meats, and my secret ingredient, a splash of liquor. Duh. I call it Skinny Special. All the body needs, and more.
Let's be honest, the apocalypse and good eating don't usually go hand in hand. The best you can hope for is that the suspiciously fresh pork chop you were just served wasn't secretly made of people. ELEX 2, by comparison, is a culinary tour de force because there's tons of food and it mostly looks absolutely delicious. We're not sure which of these embattled survivors, scratching out an existence in an unforgiving world, had time to whip up a tasty chili con carne, but we're enormously thankful. Food in ELEX 2 replenishes your health, sure, but it confers various buffs as well. That chili wards off the effects of frost damage, as you might reasonably expect. Less obvious is the discovery that gobbling up a potato salad can protect you against poisoning. Leave the mayonnaise out in the sun a bit too long and you get the opposite effect. Don't ask how I know. Learn the correct recipes, find a campfire, and you can even knock up your own dishes, meaning you could conceivably sack off the main story entirely and spend all your time in ELEX 2 foraging for ingredients and concocting increasingly elaborate dishes. Just lay off the pork chops, alright? Promise me that much. If there's one thing the Jurassic Park movies have taught us, it's that dinosaurs are good and cool, and it would be great if they were just roaming around the place looking awesome. That's why we were pleased to discover that in the world of ELEX 2, you get to live alongside these mighty prehistoric beasts. For a couple of seconds at least. These raptors are among the tougher enemies you'll encounter in the early game, and while we wouldn't call ELEX 2 a horror game per se, if you're creeping around at night and suddenly stumble across the cast of The Land Before Time having a tea party, it's actually pretty scary. Fortunately, Jax is the variety of RPG character who can sleep soundly at pretty much any time of day, so you can always pop to bed and rest until it's less dangerous to venture out. As an extra special treat for passionate paleontologists, in ELEX 2 we also for the first time get to experience the missing evolutionary link between dinosaurs and the modern birds they eventually became. That's right, these enormous rancid-looking murder turkeys. Good for 3 consecutive Christmas dinners, that. Mainly because it tastes the same when it's rotten as it does when it's fresh.
Finally, the mysterious stranger honors us with his presence.
Sorry, I got held up.
Oh, well, how can I complain when faced with such a valid reason?
Surviving in the apocalypse is presumably a pretty stressful business, but as a world-saving video game hero, you're expected to be all sweetness and light as you slog away trying to save humanity. Not in ELEX 2, where Jax is free to be an irritable jerk just about whenever he feels like it.
Just got bitten by one of those damn creatures.
Shit. Better get that looked at.
Wow, I didn't think of that. Idiot.
Probably just hangry. Someone get that guy a chili con carne. Stat. If you do wake up and choose violence, it will increase a stat that the game calls destruction, as opposed to the creation stat you build up for being a helpful goody two-shoes.
I'm not gonna tell you a damn thing.
Oh yeah? So that's how it's gonna be. I'll remember that.
These moral choices will go on to affect the ending of the game, the fate of beloved characters, and the state you'll leave the world in afterwards. Now, we'd imagine ramping up your destruction stat will lead to what's known in common parlance as a bad ending. But on the other hand, when else in life do you get to be this hilariously rude to people? Well, unless you work as the maitre d' in an upmarket restaurant.
Just forget about that crap. Who the f even cares anyway?
So that's a no to a table for four then. As an added treat, early in the game you'll meet your ex-wife and mother of your child, Kaya. She's an absolutely brilliant companion to have along with you in the early game, making combat encounters significantly easier as she hammers your foes with fireballs. More importantly, you can bicker with her basically constantly, and she gives as good as she gets, meaning if you like, you can turn the entire thing into a soap opera style slanging match about how best to raise your boy.
Dex needs to be somewhere safe.
Really? Then why don't you do something about it? It's about time you took care of your own son.
Break out the popcorn! We do still have popcorn in the apocalypse, right? I'll check. The future of the entire planet might be hanging in the balance and resources might be woefully scarce, but you gotta remember to enjoy yourself, right? ELEX 2 survivors certainly haven't forgotten to have a good time, something you'll discover if you wander near a radio and overhear the announcement about a special event happening at the amphitheatre that night.
Yes, you heard me right. Billy Idol is in Caracas and is performing live from the amphitheater.
Sorry, did I mishear that? Billy Idol? Aging rocker Billy Idol? Nice day for a white wedding Billy Idol? Cameo appearance in The Wedding Singer starring Adam Sandler Billy Idol? Yes, somehow Billy Idol has added an extra date to his now presumably more than world tour, and it's ELEX 2's amphitheatre in Magalan, roughly in the centre of the map. Toddle on over there and you'll encounter a surprisingly well-equipped open-air live music venue with lighting, pyro and a smoke machine. Get a little closer and the concert will kick off, with Billy performing a song called Whiskey and Pills from one of his more recent albums, ably assisted by, is that Kevin Bacon on guitar? If it's not, he is the spitting image. Idol performs just the one song per night, but we appreciate the effort he's gone to dress up in an appropriately post-apocalyptic outfit, with knee pads and a spiked thigh plate. When I feel I've had my fill and every voice I hear is shrill like all my friends whiskey and pills. Having said that, he did pretty much always dress that way. All that's left is for the show to wrap up with a spectacular pyrotechnic fireworks show and to hear Jax's verdict on the whole thing.
Interesting.
Not sure he's into it.
That concert was insane. Totally, man. Shame it's over.
There you have it, 7 ways that ELEX 2's apocalypse is our kind of apocalypse. Thank you for watching this video, brought to you by outsidexbox and sponsor ELEX 2. And please like this video if you're as surprised and amazed by Billy Idol showing up as we are. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time. But wait until the delivery guy forgets the additional garlic and herb dips he ordered. Absolutely ape shit.
Yep. Great delivery of ape.
Cool, thanks. I ordered garlic and herb dip.